Welcome back, everyone. We are thrilled to have our participants back with us today. Dear Harry, thank you so much for being an amazing MC. We loved your energy. I'm Mansasai Shaker, and I will be your MC for yet another energetic afternoon. Dear participants, we request you to visit all the booths to check out the various job opportunities that are available. So please go around to discover various job avenues. I would also like to inform you that there is a navigation tray on the right side of your screens which has the agenda, the auditorium, the help desk, the expo hall, lobby or the main arena, speaker, and the delegates' FAQs. The navigation bar will take you to the other elements in the event today. Watch out for the announcements that will flash on your screen. On the right hand top of your screens, you will see a profile icon. Please click on the icon, go to Edit Registration Info, and edit your profile. This will increase your visibility with employers. On your Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer, a pop up window would have appeared asking you to allow the URL to use your microphone and camera. Please click on the Allow button. If you see a camera icon on the right hand top, please do not strike that off or disable. If you strike off or disable, you will not be able to make audio and video calls from the platform. Also, on your browser, go to Visit Site Information near where the URL is written, click on it, and give access to camera, microphone, and audio. At the lobby or the main arena, you will see the Know Your Speakers tab. Click on this to know more about the speakers at the myAvtar Job Fair for Women. Do click on the help desk if you face any problems. Our representatives will immediately help you troubleshoot. The chat tab has a similar functionality. We would like to take a moment to express our gratitude to our sponsors for their generous support. Our sponsors have demonstrated their commitment to our organization and our mission, and we are honored to have their support. Their contributions have made it possible for us to continue our work and expand our reach, and we are grateful for their belief in our vision. We would like to thank our title partner, Providence India, our session sponsor, Persistent Systems India, our associate sponsors, Backbase India LLP, Cargill India Private Limited, Fidelity International, Tata Communications, Kellogg Brown and Root Engineering, and Construction India Private Limited, Moody's Shared Services, our supporting sponsor, Renault Nissan Technology and Business Center India Private Limited, other participating companies, Johnson and Johnson's Private Limited, Mphasis Limited, Saint Gobain India Private Limited. Do check out all the booths because we have several other companies participating with some exciting jobs and lots of career opportunities. Make use of the chat function at the booths and interact with the representatives to know more about the opportunities. Now, we begin the panel discussion segment, and the first one is on the topic recruitment in the post pandemic era strategies and tools to get over the She-Cession. India is ranked at 140 out of 156 countries in terms of female labor force participation. Between 2010 and 2020, India's female labor force participation slipped from 26 to 19%. Now is the time for innovative hiring and talent attraction strategies. The session will be moderated by Umasanker Kandaswamy, co-founder, Senior Vice President, Sales, Relationship, and Marketing Head at Avtar Group. US, as we fondly call him, holds a master's in public administration from the University of Madras and has done an MDP from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. He is currently managing the All India Marketing and Sales. Every year, US has, as a personal goal, been training young generation in the path of leadership and has been invited by many colleges to be the chief guest to address the young graduates and postgraduates. I would now like to introduce our first speaker, Radhika Bhatnagar, Deputy General Manager, Human Resource from Tata Communications. Radhika is a HR practitioner with deep expertise across various facets of the function. She has 13 plus years of dedicated HR experience across large multinational organizations in technology, telecom, and pharmaceutical industries. She is currently leading the DEI function, organization design and development, and culture at Tata Communications globally. I would now like to introduce our second speaker, Dr. Ramesh Darbha, GM, Country Head India and Global Partner Success at Backbase India LLP. Dr. Ramesh is a global professional with over 2 decades of global experience spanning across banking, financial services, and insurance. He's passionate about growing profitable and sustainable business at scale, nurturing talent, and driving innovation. He's currently working with Backbase as GM, Country Head India, and Global Partner Success Leader, and is based out of Hyderabad. Our third speaker for this session will be Dr. Satish Rajarathna, Senior Vice President, HR and Global Head Staffing and Talent Transformation Emphasis. With over 24 years of experience, Dr. Satish is a seasoned HR professional who has held various HR leadership positions across multiple industries. Dr. Satish is associated with several industry groups and associations such as SHRM, Agile Leadership, Lego Serious Play, PCMM, Six Sigma, N- NFNLP, amongst others, which he has received certifications marking him a qualified practitioner. At Emphasis, he is currently responsible for global staffing and talent transformation and heads HR for the portfolios. He has also been the recipient of awards such as Forbes Top 30 Talent Leaders of 2023, Asia's 100 HR Power Leaders, Global Achievers Award 2022, Indian Achievers Award 2021, and much more. To know more about the speakers, go to the Know Your Speakers tab. Let us now begin the session. Over to you, US.
Thanks a lot for the lovely introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Avtar, we would like to welcome the esteemed panel for this wonderful session. Dr. Ramesh Darbha, GM Country Head, India and Global Partner Success at Backbase, who has a great exposure with large IT multinational organizations with rich experience in some of the domains like banking, insurance, wealth management, etc. Happy to welcome Dr. Ramesh. And I would like to welcome our next panelist, Ms. Radhika Bhatnagar, Organizational Development, Diversity and Inclusion, and Culture Leader at Tata Communications. She's one of the emerging HR leaders by People Matters, GPHR, SHRM, SEP certified professional. Happy to welcome Radhika.
Thanks, Uma.
And we have our another panelist, Mr. Satish Rajarathna, Senior Vice President, Global Strategic Resourcing and Talent Transformation for Mphasis. Is an author, TEDx speaker, mentalist, and a research scholar. Happy to welcome you, Satish.
Thank you, Shankar.
Great. So first of all, thanks a lot to everyone out here for taking your valuable time and to be with us for this wonderful discussion. The discussion topic of today is recruitment in the post-pandemic era, strategies and tools to get over the She-Cession. As the data says, India is ranked at 140 out of 156 countries in terms of female labor force participation. Between 2010 and 2020, India's female labor force participation slipped from 26% to 19%. Now, is the time for innovative hiring and talent attraction strategies for all the organizations. Women were at the heart of the crisis during pandemic. A study by McKinsey reports that the pandemic forced nearly 2 million women to quit. Having said that, there are organizations like yours who are invested in hiring more women into the organization. Considering the flexibility, when I say flexibility, I need to mention about Dr. Soundarya Rajesh, our founder president of Avtar Group. You would say that flexibility is the oxygen for women. We at Avtar has been advocating the need for flexibility for more than a decade or two. And here comes the pandemic, the COVID. And within a day or two, everyone learned about flexibility. Not only that, and also everybody started adopting it so very well. Work from home, flexible hours, creating a mini office at home. Almost everyone started adapting to the new environment of work. People at home witnessed the superwoman, I would say, in action, managing multiple things personally and professionally. Now, I would like to ask the panel, what do you witnessed during the pandemic and post-COVID? I would say pre-COVID and post-COVID. With respect to recruitment, especially from the diversity hiring aspects, is there a change in the way for attracting talent? May I request Dr. Ramesh for your thoughts initially?
Thank you, Umasanker and Lakshmi, for the wonderful introduction and setting the stage so beautifully. And it's an absolutely pertinent topic for the world we live in. And it's always been something very close to how I would want to have built organizations. So to your question, I think it's important to look at not just the post-pandemic world. If I may just quickly rewind probably a little more pre-COVID as well as very quickly on Zoom, get to that point. The first thing is, I think, where did this situation even come up, right? If you see as globalization set in across a few decades back and over the decades, the way companies have grown, countries have grown, and just the organizations have spread their wings across different countries and continents, I think the need for a more diverse force started coming up in a pretty strong way across the board. And with that came in so many changes. And the primary lens was, when we talked of diversity, always has been, should we look at the lens of gender? Should we look at the lens of race? Should we look at the lens of just people with certain skills or so? I believe it's a combination of all of these that need to be absolutely in place. That's one part of it. And I think that was probably picking up momentum over a period of time with more awareness within organizations across different sectors as well, not just IT, but across various sectors. And there was an opportunity, especially in India, for more women to get into the workforce, which was absolutely essential. And I think there are no two ways about it why there should be a higher representation of women in these, right? And to me, I've always said this and very firmly believe that it has always been a natural extension of how I would see this in my personal life and in my family life, right? Which means they are at the center of everything that we do. It has to be the same principle when it comes to our workforce as well and our workplace. So if we apply that now pre-COVID, where it was picking up and then COVID came in, I would actually, it's very unfortunate that the numbers have gone down, because COVID was, like you rightly said, what no strategy could do from a flexibility perspective. COVID gave that golden opportunity to all our organizations to give that. And while there are two sides to everything, unfortunately, when it came to diversity, from the data that we see, it seems to have taken a toll on the women percentage and proportion in workforce, which is quite unfortunate that it has happened, right? Now, I think it is high time that organizations, again, see this as an essential choice and not, I believe that we shouldn't give ourselves excuses that COVID has probably brought this situation or not. No, actually, COVID has given us more options, and it has given us that tremendous, you use the right word, flexibility to hire people regardless of whether a person is in a particular city or a particular metro or so, which means we can open it up to a larger, diverse workforce and enable more women to join our workforce, right? So I'll probably pause at that, and I'll then turn it over to my other fellow panelists before I come back, because to me, diversity is one element of it. There is a very clear element of how do we tie this with a more essential element of inclusion, which also has flexibility as part of it. So I'll hold on that and turn it over to you.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much for your insights on that. And now I request Radhika, if you could give your thoughts on the flexibility and the pre-COVID and the post-COVID for recruitment. Yeah.
Thanks, Uma. This topic is actually very, very close to my heart. One, because I'm also leading the diversity in my organization, and two, because I am a woman myself. So, so I'll talk about more than how it has how COVID has impacted women. More than that, how has it impacted the organizations as such? One of the prominent thing that has happened because of COVID is digitization. So a lot of companies, a lot of processes have embraced digitization in a better way, and with that, there's a lot of impact on recruitment, right from having data driven insights to having chatbots to answer candidate queries to even shortlisting the best candidate using AI. All of that has multiple, it has expanded our capacity in terms of hiring the right talent to a great extent. The second thing that has happened, which is an opportunity for us, is that hiring from anywhere. Before pandemic, we were focused on certain cities, we were focused on where our offices are. After pandemic, it's more about hiring from anywhere, and that's why it has given us an opportunity to hire diverse pool. From tier 2 cities to remote areas, wherever the work takes you and wherever it is possible to work, and that's an opportunity for us. However, one thing that has impacted because of both of this is what is the kind of experience you're giving to your candidate. Rather than having in-person experience, you're giving a virtual experience, and how do you enhance it? That's a challenge that has come from pandemic. The other key thing that has come is that the skills have drastically changed. Now the focus is more about having digital skills, having customer experience as a skill, AI, data science, and all of this has also kind of, on one way it is more about how do you prepare your current employees for these skill set. On the other hand, it's also about the fact that it has led to a shortage of supply. So, one is at an overall level, the candidate supply has reduced, and secondly, even at the women's level, it has reduced, and that has kind of given a power to the candidate to choose the organization they want to be with. And because of all of this, the importance that has come up is that you have to create a compelling value proposition for yourself. What is the kind of journey that you're giving to the talent, to whether it is a women talent, whether it is a men as a talent? You have to look at what is the kind of journey that you are proposing. What is it that you do as an organization? What is your purpose? What is the kind of experience? How is it connected to the culture? People look at everything. It's in a big way. They've looked at rather than having a linear way of recruitment, it's more about people these days check social sites, check what is it that the talent is talking about. There's a lot of emphasis on more than employer brand, talent brand, because what is the existing talent, what are the candidates speaking about you as a company. And that is why, while digitization has come, there's a skill mismatch, there is a hiring crunch. At the same time, the candidate experience has become very, very important in the recruitment era. One thing which has become really good in terms of diversity is, in the earlier phenomena, we used to question career breaks. Now it is about, we are embracing second career. People are calling women from the second careers, and career returnee programs. You'll see so many of these in the technology industry specifically. And that's the way, our mindset has changed, right? Rather than having a qualification or an experienced based mindset, we are looking at a skill based mindset, that skill is coming first as a path to recruitment. These are some of my thoughts, and it lines up both. It lines up opportunities for us as well as challenges. How do you solve for candidate experience? How do you solve for giving virtual the best experience? How do you create your talent brand? How do you give them opportunities within the organization which help, not only about recruitment but sustaining the talent that you have in the organization?
Fantastic, Radhika. I would definitely like to. There are a lot of things that you talked about. I know my mind is bustling with a lot of questions, but I'll park it for it. You talked about tools. You talked about the different engagement, and yes, I'll come back to you again. Satish, why don't you just give me your thoughts?
So yeah, I guess Dr. Ramesh and Radhika covered most part of it. But a few things that I'd like to add is about the horizon has increased significantly in my view. It's no more diversity, it's DEI. You bring in the equity part of it and inclusivity part of it, right? Quite often the cliche is when you say diversity, people only talk about women hiring, which is typically only gender diversity. But then today, I wouldn't say even pandemic, but prior to pandemic as well. But now it's much more important. DI is getting its fair share of view, sponsorship, and visibility across corporates, right? But having said that, it's not just a gender. It's also about ethnicity, your race, the LGBTQ community, and various other factors that are coming into picture. And I guess that's where corporates are moving towards in terms of how do I make it a much more inclusive workspace in the organization, right? I think that's where we as an organization are also progressing significantly, right? The initiatives are all towards that. We've taken a lot of affirmative actions to bring into leadership purview and governance and so on and so forth as well, making people aware of this entire initiative of DEI and so on and so forth. So that's on one side. But to add on to what Dr. Ramesh and Radhika said, I'd like to split this into two aspects. One, internal to your organization that would fuel this entire thought or create the propensity of DEI as a not as an initiative anymore, but as a DNA of the organization, right? Internal could be, your diverse workforce, wellness, their performance, their career growth. How do you create personas and engage them a little differently and hyper-personalize their movement? Radhika brought a pertinent point. If someone's getting back after a career break, how do we fast track that individual to move up the value chain, right? A career break of 9 months, 10 months, or any other break for that matter, doesn't mean, that individual would have lost all the knowledge, skills, and attitude that he or she brought in from a different perspective, right? So that's from an internal perspective. More so what we see in today's context is also from an external injection, right? In the sense, the policies from governments are changing, right? I'm sure all of us are aware of CSR, ESG coming in. The agenda from there is also driving this, right? How do you kind of have certain aspects to our customers are now saying, look, we need to work with diverse suppliers in your organization, right? Who do you work with? So they have a say into the entire ecosystem of talent and attracting talent as well, right? So all of these are helping us move towards how do we be much more inclusive, right? When we do let's say a weekend recruitment drive, 60-70% of profiling is from diverse workforce. I'm being very categorical by saying not just gender, but diverse workforce inclusive, right? So that's something that we're doing it very, very consciously, and not just because we have to tick in a box, but that's what the ecosystem wanted us to, and that's what we wanted to internally, and that's what the policies are governing around as well. And most importantly, our customers are wanting to see inclusivity all across, right? So, so the change that I would want to kind of put forward, part of pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, is there's been much more importance given to all of these internal environment creation that's happened because of DEI, right? I second what Radhika said, people coming back after a break, how do we as an organization enable them to kind of catch up quickly on what they had missed out in the past few months or so, right? I think the ecosystem and creating that and the sponsorship is very, very critical for us to kind of, take this to the next, I would say, paradigm shift, in my view, Umasanker.
Fantastic, Dr. Satish. So thanks so much for those very insightful information. And I'll just take on from what you said as well as Radhika. If you talk about the second career, can we just dwell a bit into that? So would you like to talk about your experience of hiring during pandemic? There is so much of women have taken a break. We know for various reasons. Not only that, for personal reasons, there are so many losses and people have taken a break. But I would like to understand from everyone. I would like Radhika to answer this question. Second career. Can you just talk about for women? second career movement. In fact, just to give you a background as to what we've been doing at Avtar, we have done about more than 100,000 women who have taken a break in career, and we have brought them into the limelight now. All of them, 100,000 women, we brought them back into the mainstream now. We're proud of doing it, and we're looking at making it 5 times in the next 5 years. So that's a vision that we are moving in. And with the help of organizations like yours, I would definitely like to understand from all of you. Radhika, why don't you just talk about your experience from Tata Communications as to what you have done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the second career programs that we have at Tata Communication is it's actually something that Tata Group, that is happening at a Tata Group as such, and so what I want to bring forward is the fact that the way we treated second career program has also changed drastically in 2 years. Earlier the more focus was let's get the talent, let them intern with us for 6 months, and then let's hire them in permanent roles. Now it is more about let's have them as a permanent talent, and the training, everything happens along with as they join us. It is not that you need to have a confirmation period. You've already done there, you've already been there, we have the confidence in you. The fact is that it's about the faith and the trust that as an organization you put in women employees who are coming back, they're taking this chance again, and you need to open up those bridges for them, that this is not a testing period for you anymore. It's more about we are embracing you and giving you an equal opportunity. It's you've lost those years, but that's an opportunity to start back, and start back as a permanent employee. So that's something which is something which is what we are doing and what we are embracing.
Fantastic. So, Dr. Satish, would you like to just comment on this?
Oh yeah, definitely, right. Think about this. I mean,
yes, Mr. Satish. Yes, Dr. Satish, you can just go ahead. Yeah.
I see some background noise. Not sure who. Okay, got it. So, where I was heading to is Umasanker, around how do you drive this, like I said, as an engagement, right? And like what Radhika said, it is all about creating the green channel for women taking a break and coming back to mainstream. One. Second, how do we kind of get them into a pedestal where they wouldn't feel that, look, they're going to start from scratch, or they've kind of gone back many years, many months, and they have to kind of catch up, right? As long as you don't give that feeling to that individuals, I guess you're already there in the game, right? And that's what we do very effectively in the organization. Like I said, the affirmative actions that we take, whether it's a performance program or career progression or coaching, not just for gender diversity, but also for LGBTQ community and other ethnicities that we hire, all of them have a specific set of framework that would kind of give them a platform to get launched immediately as soon as they join us. So we don't give them the feeling that, look, I've lost so much time and I need to catch up. As long as you break that mindset, I think you've arrived. And that's what we do predominantly in our organization, right? Yes, pandemic and the hybrid work has also given us the extra yard of, look, you work from home predominantly and you work from anywhere, but collaborator office is what we do. That gives us a length in terms of go ahead and hire gender diverse workforce, because they get to do a lot of work at home, even other ways during pandemic or other ways. So that gives us an additional set of talent for us to kind of look forward to as well, right? But for us to kind of grab them, attract them, retain them, like what Radhika said and Dr. Ramesh alluded to in the earlier context, unless we kind of create those personas and engage them differently and create that hyper personalization, I guess this is not going to move much forward. But in our organization, that's something that we do totally different. We kind of engage them. We have a platform environment to kind of help propel their career, nurture them, coach them, fast track them as well wherever needed, right? So that's something that we've done. That's getting us a good outcome at this point in time, right?
Thank you so much for your thoughts. And Dr. Ramesh,
Sure.
what do you think about the second career of women? Yeah.
Interesting topic on a point around second career. And I think first point as our fellow panelists have called out, it's absolutely creating that environment for them to come back, right? And I would see it right from the step of talent acquisition. How are we even preparing our JDs, for instance, right? Earlier, Radhika called out multiple skills, right? So I think today, if you see many JDs that are posted on LinkedIn, it's as if you're asking for that superwoman and the superman who can do everything and bring in technology, business, domain, architecture, everything, and then get into that role. I think it's very unrealistic. I'm probably being blunt here. And I try to, even in my own organization, we try to talk through to say, look, are these JDs, first of all, realistic? Are they talking to the right audience, right? And do we want to call out the right people with what are we looking for in the first place? And it's funny when you read a lot of these JDs, but we all, again, need to hold ourselves accountable for what's being put up as a posting, right, as a JD. That's point one. Second, as this is where the point of inclusion comes in. Fine, we can have lots of measures to say second career is important, you're welcome. But as they say, diversity is having them in the party, and inclusion is actually having them dance. And belonging is even the next step. It's actually having them dance in a way that they don't care about anybody, right? So what people are thinking. So I think it's very important. That's where the culture comes in. Satish rightly called out sponsorship. Sponsorship is extremely important at that stage. Fine, we've onboarded the diverse numbers, and it's easier to quantify diversity because there are numbers, right? Out of 1,000, how many have you hired? Out of 100, how many, whether it's gender, race, or ethnicity, you know the numbers. But the most difficult part is the inclusion, and how do you look at the belongingness and inclusiveness? So which means if you have hired the women who's taking a second career or after a break, are we even making them feel part of it, or have we just hired them and they don't know what to do? Which is where the engagement, the sponsorship, and making it very clear that here is a person who will be treated with equity. Here is a person whose unique, I would say, thoughts and unique perspectives will be heard very clearly in all the places where she speaks, right? So I do believe that is very important. Collectively, if the numbers are going down, that means there are a few more steps to be done, right? And it's important that we understand why those numbers are going down despite many measures. And that's something that I try to also look at for my own, or within my own organization, to say, is there something else differently that we need to do if the numbers, let's say the trend is that they're going down, right? And I do believe once somebody is hired as part of that second career or career gap with the right job profiles, next is how do we engage them? Where is the level of sponsorship? Are they truly heard? Are they part inclusive? I think if that is in place, then people will stay. Otherwise, it's a matter of just having it for some numbers, and then again, you see them either lost or probably trying to figure out something else, right? So I think if you say 2 million women are out of the workforce, it's a staggering number, and which is something that to be more deeply looked at.
Yes, I mean, as we see thanks, Dr. Ramesh, for your insights. And as you rightly pointed out, the JDs, the job descriptions, are something that, we really need to look in. In fact, Avtar offers a service for organizations wherein, when we see a lot of job ads, I mean, it has most of them, I'm not saying everybody, but some of them would have gender specified JDs to start with. So are we even sensitized that whatever we are putting across, is it the right way of attracting talent? So I will just call out a question to all the panelists who would like to answer this question. This is primarily the tools. There are very many areas where we start advertising to attract our talent. We can go to any job boards or to any partners and whatnot. So how do you use it? Because now social media is becoming one of, it's been there for a very long time now. So individually for your organizations, which are the tools that you really use, and how are you going to be attracting these, women into your organization? I'll leave this, open to anyone who would like to call out, who would like to respond to this question.
If I may,
please, Dr. Ramesh.
Just so that please. That thread where I left earlier. I think it's also important. One of the most important tools is at the stage of talent acquisition, which is the first point of connect with any candidate, right? For an organization and a potential candidate. And it's to sensitize them, first of all, that please don't call it out as just a gender diversity position, for instance, right? And I know, including my wife and so many friends who say that we cringe the moment someone tells us that it's hiring is for gender diversity positions. And I can imagine no women would want to be hired just because there is a sense of what do you call bias or a priority for gender diversity. Yes, you may want it to be as a strategy, but I believe that's the first tool. That let's be sensitive. Let's sensitize our recruitment, talent acquisition, every team, right, as part of the cultural shift. That's absolutely essential. Second, to remove any unconscious bias. It's also important. Now we have the benefit of technology, and we are looking at how do we leverage that. I would say we still haven't probably mastered that. But for instance, can you remove the unconscious bias by, as they say, blinding out the names and then just the gender, etc., so that it's a more objective and a neutral view that we are taking of a profile. Third, I called out earlier the JDs itself. It has to be realistic, and the expectations need to be set with the business teams or the hiring teams as well on how do you want to hire these people to, right? Broadly, these are three. And lastly, the direction of when it comes to tools, it's also about, even during the interview process, can we now use the likes of AI that are coming in to do that initial level of more of a neutral view of how we are looking at candidates at the interview stage also. One is shortlisting and then the interview stage. And so that they're set up for the final cultural discussion, culture fit discussions, the DNA discussions, etc. So that's something that I wanted to call out.
Fantastic. Anybody would like to respond?
I think I'll go next.
Yeah, Radhika.
So at Tata Communications, what we've done is we are, like Dr. Ramesh spoke about, we have a gender masking tool that we've used for CVs, where, you know, basically when the CV goes to the hiring manager, they are not able to identify the gender associated with the CV. So that's one thing that we've done to remove unconscious bias. The other area that we've also done, what we've also done is we've looked at our JDs and used a tool to check whether our JDs are gender biased. You know, if the JDs themselves talk about, you know, certain areas which are, you know, women centric or men centric. I mean, we've changed all of that in our JDs. We've revisited all of that. The third thing that we are doing is we are using you know, AI in a big way, that, you know, we are able to identify which are the candidates which are meeting our profile requirements, and that gives us as a recruiter, you're able to see how many profiles are you getting as a male, how many profiles are you getting for women, and wherever you want to increase your diversity mix, you can focus on those positions in that way. So these are some 2-3 you know, tools that we are using. What we're additionally doing is we are also targeting certain job families. We've done an industry-wide study to see what is the diversity mix that is existing in different job families. Where is it a possibility to increase our hiring mix? And we are also targeting those specific job families to increase our, you know, our focus. So it may be possible that the talent is not available in the market in certain areas, and where is the talent actually possible. So we are focusing on areas where the talent is actually you know, it's available, it's possible. We are also looking at that as a strategy.
Fantastic. Yeah, Dr. Satish, your comments?
No, I'm just going to summarize what Dr. Ramesh and Radhika said. I think that's the easier way to put it. No, but you know, great points. But having said that, the way that we drive through, I'm going to piggyback on what Radhika said. Pick and choose areas where we can go gender diverse. Say, for example, at campuses, you know, we go fairly strongly gender diversity hiring. Mid and senior, we ensure that the profile submissions has a percentage of diverse profiles getting in, right? So it's not that we kind of say, you know, we will supply, but we're also going to categorically say, look, like what Radhika said, we will let you know that every profile that you get, every second profile is a diverse profile. It could be gender, you know, race or communities and other stuff. But that's the way that we kind of started pushing through. So where we focus more on is the skill portfolio the individual brings in, irrespective of gender, race, and community that they belong to at all, right? Because the entire world today is moving out of the traditional career ladder if you may, right? And everybody is now moving towards skill portfolio. As long as you have the skills that you're looking forward to, I think that's where we're going to go behind, right? And not whether you've been a senior person for a while or a junior person for a while, and putting a number to that is all long gone. As long as you bring in the skill, get in the solution mindset, being analytical ability and being consultative and be able to kind of respond to the problem statement, I guess you're in. That's the way that the world is moving towards right now. And given that conditions, I think that's what we go behind as well. So there is no differentiation in terms of, JD or shortlisting and screening and other stuff. We only say, look, you bring in your skill set, you're in. And what we do there is we pump in much more from a supply perspective. So the probability of also getting diverse candidates onboarded and the inclusivity number goes higher is much, much larger than the other way around, and being very specifically saying, look, for this position, I want to hire a diverse candidate. If you don't get, it's all going to come back and say, look, you're not fulfilled the position, right? So we are very, very categorical. We have a strategic approach out there in terms of every set of positions will have percentage of diverse profile coming in, right? Whoever matches, let's go ahead and get them onboarded. So no differentiating there on gender or race or community and so on and so forth. So that's been working very well for us. Like what Dr. Ramesh said, it's all about how do you come out of this unconscious bias that you have, right? How do you bring in programs? How do you kind of train, mentor, coach our internal teams to be much more open and be aware of what's happening from a DEI perspective? I think that aids all of these engines as well, Masha.
Fantastic. In fact, I would like to add a point to it. When I talk about tools, are we sensitizing our recruitment team, the people who are facing the day in and day out, because they need to be given a training with respect to gender intelligence? Because gone are the days where, as a recruiter, you can't just say that I have a position, come and why don't you just join us? It is like, I am experiencing something in my own organization. I want you to experience it. So that's a kind of a communication. They need to be a brand ambassador. So that is something that we found that it's missing in most of the organizations, and we created, in short, we called as Gita program, which is called Gender Intelligence for Talent Acquisition. So that's something that we've been doing. And before we sign off, I would like pick your brains with respect to what will be the one thing that you would like to advise to the aspiring talent who want to come and approach your organization? Just in a word, just in one single sentence, if you could just narrate and an advice from you, from each one of you. Radhika, would you like to go first?
I think more than an advice, I would like to, give them a view about what is in it for you. And there are three things that I've seen in this organization. One is that we nurture talent from within. So if you are inspiring and if you have a growth mindset, this is the right organization for you. We've got learning platforms. We've got most of our open positions at manager and above get filled up internally. And look at my example. I've been here for 9 years, and I've had 5 different roles. Okay. So this is the organization which will allow you to nurture and which will allow you to grow. This is an organization which believes in having inclusive work culture where diversity thrives. The policies are mostly gender agnostic, and we've got plethora of flexibility that we embrace. The third thing that is very important as an organization for us is we believe in transformation. So we don't believe in the fact that we are working in a pond. It's more like we are working in a river. And for that, you need to constantly evolve and constantly change to the, whether it's a new skill set, whether it's an innovation, you need to constantly embrace the change. And that's if you have a growth mindset, if you're ready to take up challenging positions, if you're ready to embrace innovation in a big way, embrace the transformation that's happening, this is the right organization for you.
Fantastic. Dr. Satish?
I'm going to keep it simple. Be curious, be creative, be collaborative, right? No matter where you are, I think as long as the industry that we hail from needs these three capability fairly strongly, right? So don't let that kind of hamper. I think that's where we invest heavily on, right? In terms of quote unquote cliche again, agility, in the word of agility, right? How agile you are. I think that's something that we embrace significantly. That works for us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your comments. And Dr. Ramesh.
Thank you. I think we started this conversation with flexibility. So I would say this is an organization that absolutely values flexibility, gives flexibility, and to all our teams. That's the first point. Second, I think with that flexibility, there's a tremendous admiration and also value for different perspectives, cultures. And we have 75 cultures represented in our organization, for example, right? And people from 75 different cultures. So I think it's an absolutely a place where you can voice out without any hesitation on what your unique perspective is. And most importantly, feel part of a growing organization where all the points that we just spoke of, different perspectives, sponsorship and inclusion, all of those are in place. We're waiting
Lovely.
for some candidates with such just part of it. That's it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Ramesh, Dr. Satish, and Radhika for your valuable inputs. I'm sure the audience will really enjoy and they'll take a lot of inputs. I'm sure we are out of time. Otherwise, I have a lot of questions to ask you, but yes, in the next meeting or the next event, we will definitely catch up with that and have a nice day. Thank you so very much. And
Thank you
over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Good conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.